So thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know you're probably very busy. I guess I saw you were watering and maintaining when I got here. For our audience, if you could just introduce each of you and tell us, I guess, why and how you got involved in Melbourne International Flower and Garden Show in 2024.
Annika and I met about 20 years ago at the Chelsea Flower Show, and then ever since we've said we want to do something together, and we thought Melbourne Flower Show came up and we just thought now's the time, didn't we?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so you're based in Melbourne?
I'm based
you're based in Queensland.
At Central Coast, north of Sydney.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I'm based in Stockholm in Sweden.
Wow. So you collaborated on the design
online
initially?
Yeah.
And then at what point did you decide you have to fly in and be here just once it was ready, or were you participating in the build and being around the build, or?
Well, I think that was always the thought of us being here, because as in any garden, it's one thing to do a design, but then to actually be in the space and to experience this is so important as well.
So important.
Do you think the design changes slightly during the build and the designers need to be there? Is that?
The hard surface hasn't changed at all, but the planting is like painting a picture.
Yeah. So you'll continue to move strokes or brush strokes or paint during the build.
Yeah. Which is a fun part of the process. As designers, that's what we do. We look at colours, we look at shapes, we look at textures and so much more. So and all the planting in here is basically an inspiration from nature in the Nordics.
Yep.
So we do have a lot of similarities, like the anemones. In spring we have carpets of white delicate flowers and anemones in Sweden, and likewise you see a lot of ferns.
Yep.
And that's something that we also have in the Scandinavian nature.
Makes sense.
And it all works in Melbourne as well. So
From a seasonality standpoint as well, like you're not forcing the plants to work here.
All these plants are from a local grower, so they all can stand the Melbourne weather.
Yep.
And
that's
can
the
use
whole
them
point.
back home as well.
Yeah, that's the whole point of creating an inspiration of the Nordics, which people can get inspired by, and if anyone wants to kind of spin on this concept, then you can do that.
And as designers, you would be open to people requesting that kind of design work here in Melbourne, and
absolutely.
Could you facilitate that from?
Absolutely, yeah.
You mentioned you met at Chelsea. Were you involved in gardens there, or you were both just looking?
Yeah.
Well, we both have. So we both have lived in London and been working there and assisting on different shows. So, and Kajsa, you have quite a lot of experience of that. So
I've helped out at Chelsea 3 times and Hampton Court with Jim Fogarty, and also the Sydney show when they tried to have a little garden show in Sydney.
So when you say helped out, so you'll be on site just assisting, planting, building?
So everything they want you to help with. Like, you realise how much work there is behind a show garden. Like, we didn't probably, even if we helped so much, we probably didn't realise we couldn't do it all by ourselves. So we got helpers in that deadheaded the flowers and made the plants really pretty, and watering.
Yeah,
it's a full-time job.
Well, you can't really irrigate them, right? They're only here for 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Obviously you partner with a landscaper. So talk to me about that relationship and how that came about. Like, is it someone that was known to you, or you had to seek each other out, or?
No, that was actually through the show, and we are ever so grateful because it's been so much fun. The company's Landart Landscapes, and they just took on this with an open heart, and the skills they have, the passion for it, and the dedication has been unbelievable. So we couldn't be happier about that.
so organized and
Yeah.
calm, and like, you know, it's just been smooth. the
Calm's an
whole-
interesting word.
Yeah,
Because-
yeah, I didn't expect that
Yeah,
from
yeah.
a landscaping company.
Well,
like,
when
'cause
there's a
it's-
deadline, it's
yeah,
serious. I mean, from what I
Yeah.
understand, the weather was okay leading into
hot.
the build, but it was
Yeah,
hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't
also
raining.
the work itself, you know, taking pride in what you do, you know, that's important in any garden, and the skills and the joy. And obviously you might see the design behind you, and it's perhaps not something that they do on a daily basis.
No,
I think they really
yeah,
thoroughly
it's
enjoy
very,
it.
it definitely stands out.
Yeah.
Even the, I guess the process of, I don't know if it's weaving or,
Yep,
It
quite.
is.
You see
It's
the
very
rear
much-
wall.
yeah,
in
like that's
particular.
something that I can't imagine they've done ever before, right?
No,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
didn't. They just said, "Sure, we'll do that," and
Yeah.
they've never done it before. Like, that's so rare to find someone that just take it on.
Did
with
you-
open arms?
Had you come in expecting or with the intent of winning a certain medal, or was silver gilt like?
We didn't even think about any medals. Like, it wasn't even in our heads.
Wasn't the
no,
why? It was just we want to build, we want to do it.
We want to have fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we want to,
Yeah.
do a show garden. That,
Yep.
Yeah.
that was.
And also, you know, it's not just about us. It's actually to create something that can be an inspiring for younger generations, for any visitors. And we think, I mean, gardens so important. It's always been important, but I think even more today. And this garden is very much about looking back at the past and our history, and we think there's so much richness in any history. And designers and pioneers, and looking back at what they done and take on that storytelling.
Yep.
So, you know, quite often you don't have to kind of reinvent yourself for the sake of it, but actually a lot of excellent things has been done in the past.
And I also feel like this would be nothing without everyone that's helped us. Like, we've got plants that we
all
get
the
to borrow
sponsors.
from. Yeah, all the sponsors that helped us, all the materials.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a garden without everyone putting
Well,
in.
from what I'm gathering, and we've spoken to a lot of designers and builders over this trip and the last trip, without the sponsors, it really just doesn't happen. It's not even a case
No.
that it makes it harder.
Yeah.
It makes it somewhat financially unattainable for some people.
Absolutely.
right. Yeah.
Especially if you're not a big business or it's early stages in your business.
Yeah.
You know, there's obviously some very ambitious young people, when I say young, not necessarily their age, but their business might be young,
Yeah.
that have now gone, oh, we want to do a show garden.
Yeah.
That's their whole life savings, or
Yeah.
they thankfully get the support of some, I guess, wealthy benefactors. So what the goal, there was no other goal other than we wanted to do it. Like, you know, was obviously everyone comes here with a different reason. So there's,
Yeah.
we're meeting people that are trying to highlight charitable ventures, or trying to highlight issues in society, or some are trying to sell more work.
Yeah,
I mean,
we have a very, you know, strong concept in this, and again, coming back to, I think at a show garden, it's beautiful if you have a message that you can resonate with, or you want to highlight something, and so for us, this is a universal concept in that sense.
Yep.
That again, you know, look at what materials you have. Work with them in the best way. As you might notice, we only use wood in this garden as a hard landscaping
And
material.
all exposed, I guess.
Yes.
So with the intent that would age naturally.
And also that's a very Scandinavian way of working with materials, is to highlight the material and make the most of the material itself, rather than, you know, squeezing in a number of different hard landscape materials for the sake of it.
Yep.
But actually look at each piece, make it as beautiful as you can, show the great properties with that material. And so, for instance, you see the decking, so that we left them open, and again, you know, showing the beauty of the wood, and that's something that's you know, quite sort of a common thing in Scandinavia to and through history as well. You know, we back in the day, it was all about survival.
Yeah.
So you treated every material with respect, and you treated, after you've done your garden, your house, whatever product you produce, you also take care of it very, very carefully.
Do you feel that that's something that's been handed down generationally and still exists culturally?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the messages as well, that we want to bring something from the past into the now, so it'll be passed on to future generations. So there's lots of handicraft in our detailing, and that's all based on history in Sweden. And we've got long stories about those if we could tell about. But also one other thing, we feel like this world is so stressful at the moment, and we wanted to create a garden where you can just escape all the stress and just contemplate and just breathe, because today is just hectic.
Well, everyone's living 10 seconds at a time on social media, and I think a lot of people are worried about what other people are saying and thinking about them. And you know, we've obviously met with the guys at the end that talked about, you know, how important their garden was around, I guess, highlighting the challenges of people returning from war, and the ones that don't get killed almost have changed mentally, and you know, the garden becomes a really core part of that. And I think that's kind of a common thread, whether or not it's intentional in the builds, but it is a common thread between gardening, right? Like people, it's a solace for.
I mean, we're here in this garden. We actually, so there's a Swedish expression called smultronställe.
Yep, I can't say that.
You don't.
Smultronställe.
Oh, there you go. And it literally means a place where wild strawberries grow.
Yep.
Hence why we have lots of strawberries.
Yeah, so we do have
garden.
incorporated strawberries in the garden. But what it is that it's your own sanctuary. It's a place free from stress, where you can just relax and reflect and have your own piece of tranquility.
Yep.
And it can be anywhere. It can be that rock in the forest that is your specific smultronställe, or it can be your summer house, or anything that you feel this is. I'm one with the world here.
Yep.
You know, I feel connected with myself as well, and it's sort of that feeling in your heart as well, rather than you know, just a place.
So it can be a place to go mentally, not necessarily always physically.
Can be, yeah. But also in this garden, so as you see, we haven't got any furniture in here. We have no dedication.
That's when you said let's sit down, I was like, I'm not built for floor sitting. I don't have that flexibility.
So no specific areas where you sit and you know, you dine here and you lounge here, but actually we use these platforms as spaces for people to lay down, to sit down, put your feet in the water. We have quite a few waters in here to reflect on the many lakes in Scandinavia, but also for you to create your own kind of storytelling. So it's very much about relaxation in the garden itself.
Do you feel like you were able to verbally communicate that with the judges? I don't fully understand how the whole process goes, but I'm guessing they'll come and judge.
Well, we're going to get feedback tomorrow,
so we don't know yet.
Do you have any sense for what feedback might, like, are there things that you already know that you would have liked to have done differently or that didn't?
We actually
so you
have
genuinely
no clue.
don't know.
No.
Okay. Because the gap from silver gilt to gold is tiny, right?
I don't know.
3
We
points
don't
or
know that.
2
We
points or
have no
something.
idea.
Okay, so it's very like it's not far from gold.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously there's just going to be it'll be interesting to hear. It's challenging that I don't know the answer, because I'm really curious to go what was missing, and I'm sure you want to know as well. But
Yeah, but again, we're not here. Like, we appreciate and we think that the boys, you know, and we understand that that's a big part of the show.
Yep.
And you know, a million thanks and for all the hard work that everyone has done for this garden.
Yep.
So we think the garden deserves it, but for us, it's not.
that wasn't the why.
No,
Yes.
exactly, yeah.
So based on that, then, did you achieve what you had hoped to achieve?
Yes.
You're
yeah,
happy.
very much so. Yeah.
I really
No, we-
feel like, we both feel like when we're in the garden, it's like being in nature. That's like the peace in your heart that you're looking for.
The place that I can't. The
Smultronställe.
Smultronställe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's so calm.
Yeah.
And it reminds us
It was
of
just
the
funny.
Nordics.
So
Yeah.
calm in a place like Melbourne.
Yeah, with all these
Inside the
people,
chaos.
it's as well. It's if you hear like little flower moving in the wind and the leaves.
Yeah.
We're very happy.
Yeah. One more thing you might be interested in is the heart shapes that we have on several places.
I heard someone say that. I spoke to someone yesterday, and they said there's hearts everywhere, and then but Australians say there's love hearts everywhere.
Yeah.
Because they're love hearts here and their hearts there. So talk me through that. Like,
Yeah. Okay. Do you,
Yeah, sure. There's a famous author back in the day, Danish author called Hans Christian Andersen, And he was a great author, but he was also very good at handicraft, and he put together papercraft. Yeah, he put together, like he wove together papers. Generally, it was like it probably was a bit of veneer, but paper like red and white, and he wove them together into little heart-shaped basket, and you would hang it in the Christmas tree with some sweets in it, and that heart shape you still do in schools every Christmas in the Nordic. So it
quickly became a tradition, and it's fascinating how it, it's kept on.
Probably looks a lot nicer than the manufactured ornaments that get put on Christmas trees as well. Like, it looks a bit more.
Quite. And so
and then our hearts are.
Yeah, they are. What we believe. We looked at the original heart, and then we obviously changed it gradually to become something of the scale that can be in a garden and suit the space, and also work with mass and void, as we say, design wise. We kind of made a modern version of that heart.
And it's very repeated.
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
You see, even the little hinges on the gates.
It's interesting that some of the feedback that I've heard from judges in the past is there needs to be connection between each area, and obviously that helps achieve that. I mean, you can do that with plants, and you can do that with the fact that you've used very simple, the same material or similar materials everywhere, but to have those hearts there, and then for some people won't notice because it's so subtle. And then but then
that's like you want to be able to explore like a little bit each time you come back.
I do find that we rush around and we do these interviews, and then we're on to the next garden, and we're on to the next garden, but then while I'm standing here talking, I notice the birds, and then you kind of you find more and more, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's what one of the judges, he said as well. He said, as I was judging, and then I returned and I noticed things that I hadn't seen before. So
Give us some more points.
I think I think that's a very nice reflection, because I think in every garden, that's if you sit down and you reflect on it, you see wildlife, you see movements, you see flowers, and you see seasons. So, and it's really what we need.
Have you done any standing back and listening to the people? Like that's something that can be challenging, but also like if they don't know who you are, so you stand back there and people walk past and they talk about the design or the garden, and then you hear what they say, but they don't know who you are. Have you done that?
It's mostly about plants. They talk about the plants.
Well, it is a flower and garden show. So I guess the plants are an important part, and probably I think maybe a decreasingly focused part of garden design, maybe where we are anyway.
Yeah, and we have throughout the build also had loads of people to, obviously all the plants were in then, but they really the eye catch the weaving.
This would have been a very interesting thing to look at without any green life, like it was
exactly
like a canvas, right? Waiting to be coloured in. Like if you to refer back to your painting, you built the canvas, a very unique canvas, and then colour it in.
So and it's going to be very interesting. We haven't actually seen it during the evening as well.
Oh really?
No, but
tonight.
Tonight.
You'll be we're
tomorrow.
coming back tonight. Yeah.
So we can't wait to see that as well.
Yeah, how that timber.
And
reacts
even
with
the
the
birch
light.
trees, the lightness of the birch. And
have you had any issues with
pergola.
possums?
We have actually.
Well, not issues.
Eating.
It was just this morning.
They eat. Apparently, they'll eat your plants. You don't cover them up. You haven't had any issues?
There was only one small trace this morning, so we haven't been that bothered.
No, I just meant the trace. No, someone told us they're going to eat all your strawberries. But the strawberries is still there, so I think they're not ripe enough.
You had a strawberry yesterday,
I ate the strawberry yesterday.
Well, I was going to say, you got to get there before the possums get there. Some of the guys we'd spoken to cover up everything. They put nets on everything at night. So
we fingers crossed.
We haven't seen any munch bites anywhere, so just a little droppings on the deck.
And so you'll stay for the deconstruction and then fly home respectively, or are you out of here before the deconstruction?
We are.
Yeah. Classy, real classy. see you, Paul.
Having said that, we have an extraordinary good team, as I said, Landart. So, they put this up in no time, and I'm sure they're going to do the same.
Oh, yes.
So,
they've been so incredible.
Yeah.
Is there reuse plans for anything? Like, are you hoping to be able to sell parts or?
They're all in pots, so they go back to the nursery.
The plants do, but then all the timbers.
The timbers they're going to reuse at Landart's future projects, so
Yeah,
as
perfect.
framing
Yeah.
and whatever they don't use, they turn into mulch.
So mulch because it's all untreated.
Full circle. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank
I do
you.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, safe travels home, and hopefully, I mean, Melbourne's put on the good weather for you. So.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
lovely
Especially
today.
from where you're
Yeah.
based.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't worn a jacket for a while, but
Yeah.
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 All right.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Been
No,
a pleasure.
no worries.
Thank you. Thanks.